When music moves, it shakes the world. From passion to action. Catch conversations and inspiration as we get to know emerging artists at the Ohio University's Music Industry Summit.
We are the university that finds the way to do the most unique things and the coolest things.
This is the Launchpad Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Launchpad Podcast. This is an amazing experience coming to you from Ohio University at the Ohio Music Industry Summit. It's an annual music industry summit that you need to be a part of. My name is David Oyuke. I'm the host and the producer of the Launchpad Podcast. So let's dive in. I'm seated across an artist who, when I listen to their music, I call it breezy. Like, there's elements about it that you listen to and you feel like you're taken to a whole different place. It's smooth, but it has different elements to it that are really, really great. And I can't wait for us to get to know the artist sitting next to me.
Baby, don't look me in the eye. I'll sweep you off your feet tonight. You stole my heart. You took it too.
I am seated next to the amazing Jillian Kay. How are you doing, Jillian?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad that you are here.
Yeah.
How are you doing this morning? And what are you excited about today?
Well, I woke up and the first thing I thought of was this podcast. I was so excited for this experience. And, just to be able to see so many great speakers today and tomorrow and just be around amazing artists and just people in the music industry, I'm stoked. It's going to be great.
Sweet. So I always like to do like an origin story. So
yeah.
Maybe you can tell the Launchpad family a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what's your origin story?
Yeah, so a little brief story. I'm from like the Hamilton, Ohio area. I had, kind of a rough childhood. I wouldn't say rough, but I grew up with just me and my mom. I didn't have a father figure, and so that was a difficult experience for me, but that was what kind of turned me to writing first. I would write stories. I would try to write songs. Little me it wasn't great back then, but I was able to kind of turn to songwriting and writing in general, and that's kind of what got me into that. I got into high school and I met an amazing person who is also going to be on this podcast later. His name is Mark Joshua, and
wow, nice.
He's a songwriting coach, and so I kind of, I learned a lot from him, and I kind of dove more into my lyrics and just the honesty of my life through my lyrics. And so that is kind of the backstory through how I, got my career kind of going.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about like you started like having a songwriting coach,
yeah.
I'm sure that of course before that, when you're younger, like you're just writing and just penning stuff down. What are some of the earliest lyrics that you can remember that you ever wrote?
Oh my. I'm really close with my grandparents. They kind of helped raise me. They live on this amazing property like back in the woods, and I wrote this song called Thomas Road, which is like the road they live on, and I just kind of talked about, the leaves, the flowers, the crossing the bridge over and playing tag and stuff like that. That was one of the very first songs that kind of, I wouldn't call it a song yet. It was kind of stuff I jotted down that made me feel comfortable and made me feel at home. So that's one of them. It was played a big part of my life for sure. Yeah.
Did they ever hear it?
They have, and I would love to do something with that song. Kind of maybe revise it a little bit, make it a little more part of me now, more than little Jillian.
Yeah.
But it's. It would be really cool to do something with that song for sure.
Sweet. So how would you describe your musical influences, like your style, your genre, and like if somebody was to walk up to the street and be like, man, I heard you perform and it was so dope. And they asked you like, what are your stylistic influences? What would you tell them?
Yeah, so I'm super into like alternative pop. See, I love every genre, but for specifically where I'm at now, I would say it's alternative pop. Maybe a little indie mixed in there as well. I love Lana Del Rey. I love Taylor Swift. I love Boy Genius. Women influencers like that, and also like Cigarettes After Sex. Harry Styles, of course, people like that. So I would say those are kind of like my musical influences as of now. Yeah.
Sweet. Do you play any instruments?
So I'm learning guitar. I wouldn't say I'm great at it yet, but I'm getting there. So right now it's kind of I'm focusing on my singing and songwriting as of now.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like in this moment, little Jillian right there. Thomas Road. That's the name of the.
Yes.
So little Jillian is writing Thomas Road and, turns and sees Jillian right now on the Launchpad podcast. What would little Jillian say?
Oh my gosh. She would probably be like, you actually did this? Like because, I wasn't ever, that was the dream, but I was like, how am I even going to get started with this? How am I even going to, get my name out there? And I've learned and met so many people that have given me that opportunity, and that's really hard to find. I've learned, especially as a woman in the music industry, it can be a lot more difficult. But she would be probably in tears. I've cried about it before now, so for sure.
That's beautiful to see, and I'm glad that you honoring that version of yourself and still honoring that version of yourself as you keep on growing as an artist.
Yeah.
You mentioned some really great artists, and I want to jump into something that we call the fantastic artist. And so if you could put together like these superhero qualities about artists that you like or that you're a fan of, who would be like this combination made of? Like if you could pick like lyrics from so-and-so and melody from someone else to create like this superhero artist, who are the people that you would pick and what would you love?
Yeah, it's difficult to say for sure, but I think lyrically, Taylor Swift is one of the strongest lyricists ever. That's pretty much everyone knows that, but her honesty is just something that I look up to, and that's really, really hard to be honest in your lyrics and kind of just put yourself out there and be vulnerable to the world. As well as Lana Del Rey, I think she has amazing lyrics, and her, like melodically, I would say she's kind of in that group as well. And again, I think Boy Genius, I honestly wouldn't fit them into any category, any genre. They are so just different and honest, and sometimes it's like, this doesn't even make sense, but to them it makes sense and it sounds great. So, I think there's like lyrics that like wouldn't make sense to everybody, or it can have different meanings, and that's what I love about Boy Genius. Yeah.
Talking about meaning, what does music mean to you?
It's my life. My grandparents, my mom, my stepdad, they all kind of have shown me different genres, different artists, and how it can really change you. It's a form of therapy for me. Being able to write down what's going on in my life and show it to the world, it's definitely therapeutic for sure.
So you had a project that dropped.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because all of a sudden I feel like having some morning coffee, some black coffee. I don't know why. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. I did write a song with my uncle, who is also an amazing lyricist. It is called Black Coffee, and it was my first single that I have ever dropped, and it's definitely a fan favorite back home, and it's starting to kind of get there here in Athens too. So that was my first project, and it went amazing. I never would have imagined it, being as good as it turned out. So
and then you have another is it an EP that you have?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's called Young Recollections. It has 4 songs including Black Coffee on it, and it's a story of my life about the hardships I've gone through, and some rough times, but also some really, really cool experiences in my life. And it was a great experience. I was able to finally get that out there and be honest about what's going on in my life. And it was cool to see a lot of people be like, I relate to this. Like, thank you for making this. Thank you for putting this out and putting your heart into it. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. People tend to look at success as an artist or as a creative based on different metrics. If you were today to reach your ultimate success at this point in life, what are you thinking success kind of looks like as an artist?
You know, that is a tough question. I think a lot of people think it's how famous you can get. I think it is how many people you can touch. And, you know, I listen to a song and I'm like, thank God they put out this song, because somebody has been in my shoes. When you feel like nobody else has, you feel like you're alone, nobody relates to you. And then, you know, being able to put out a song that someone's like, thank you for making this, putting this out.
Yeah.
It touched me and it made me not feel like I was alone. I think just, you know, spreading your honesty to the world is what I would call success.
Spreading your honesty to the world.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's beautiful. So, right before we let you go, which we never want to do, you know, and this is one of those things that I share on the podcast. Rewatch and re-listen, because the stories are so amazing. But just for a 15-minute block, I'm just like, no.
I know.
You
I know. Yeah.
But there's something that I called picture perfect. You know, so it's not picture perfect. It's just pitch. You're perfect. So for the Launchpad family who are listening and watching right now, what would you leave them with? Like something that you can tell them so that they can be a part of your community, a part of your journey, and, you know, just go with you into that definition of success with you. What can you leave to our audience and just give them something?
You know, I think, like I said, it can be really, really hard with whatever, you know, profession, wherever you're going on in life. It can be really, really difficult. But there are people that are here with you, and they may be in a completely different experience, but they're with you. And if you're in the music industry and you're scared to put yourself out there, don't ever feel afraid, because there are people everywhere that are going to be in the same position as you and love your music, love your lyrics, whatever it is. And I would say just don't be afraid and speak your truth and put yourself out there. And I know it's hard to be vulnerable, but that's what I would say to everybody.
And those are aspects that they can find when they listen to your music.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. So I am so glad that, you know, you came through, and you surprised me by telling me that you're a freshman.
I am a freshman. Yes.
How crazy. How crazy that. So like you have so much that is actually in store for you. How do those other years look like for you in terms of like what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I want to, you know, continue to record new stuff. I'm actually working on some new stuff right now. Wink, wink. So, and, you know, kind of getting my name out here in Athens more. You know, keep playing shows here. I've played a couple already. But, you know, making new friends here, making new musician friends, and spreading my name around this area is kind of where I see myself in the next couple years. And, of course, I would love to kind of, you know, travel and kind of go more places. But that's where I'm at right now.
Sweet. With that, it's one of those things that I'm thinking about, and I'm like, I've heard you, I've watched you. Now I want to follow you. Where can I get to, you know, vibe with Jillian Kay? How often do you respond if somebody's like, oh, Jillian Kay, I love your music? You know, like, will you see that after like a week? Do you have a manager who, like, you know, looks at that kind of stuff? Like, what's your story on social media and that?
Yeah, so social media, I mean, with platforms, I mean, you can find the music everywhere, but Instagram, you know, Twitter, I'm not like a huge Twitter person, but like Instagram is where you can find most of my stuff. I manage it as of now, and you know, I respond pretty fast. Like if somebody shot me a text like, hey, let's collab, or hey, I love your stuff, I'll be on that. I'll see that, and I appreciate that for sure. Yeah.
Nice. So you've heard that. All you have to do right now is join the community and build a large Launchpad community. As I always say, it is about highlighting the next best now. And now, go and click that music, follow Jillian Kay, and let's catch up with the next episode. Stick around on the Launchpad, because we have so much more for you at the Ohio Music Industry Summit. It's been great, and we still have so much more.
Underneath these falling stars in the sky.
Thanks for watching or listening to the Launchpad podcast. Click the links in the About page to get to know more about our artists, follow their journeys, and also find out what comes next in their story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you at the next launch.